Hey everybody, welcome to the real estate market update. Thank you for joining us today. We're going over every Friday. We go over the week prior to us. We go over all the news, all the notes, all the statistics from all of our counties here in Southern California. We go all over all those numbers for you so you can make informed decisions out there about what you want to do. And if you're looking at real estate, if you own a real estate home, you own a home itself, or you're looking to purchase real estate. My name is Troy, and this is
Ryan.
And we're the house heroes, and we like to come to you every single week and give you this information. So I know that it's been a holiday week last week. I know that things kind of changed and moved around. But what's kind of crazy is that after we get down to the numbers here, we are actually seeing not a whole lot stop during this pandemic slash holiday weekend. I mean, we saw fireworks go off, and in the real estate industry, we saw homes getting sold, and nothing really slowed down this big train that's got momentum going right down its tracks.
That's a great point. And sometimes you get these holiday weekends, and everybody goes out of town. They go to do things, and all of a sudden you just hit a skid in sales, showings, things like that. I mean, what were you doing 4th of July, Troy?
I worked out in the morning. I did the Murph, and then I just showed homes the rest of the day.
Yep, me too. So people were out there grinding it out. Every home I showed, there were lines around the corner. Real estate is still hot out there in the trenches. So it really hasn't stopped. And now, basically, the things we were talking about, 3 months ago, 2 months ago, a month ago, it's all coming out in the numbers, and it just shows what we've been saying, that the market's been hot, our phone's been ringing, we're running into multiple offers out there, and here are some of the articles that now, as mainstream media is starting to pick up on it, these are the headlines. But as always, you really got to read through and figure out what's really going on beneath the surface, and what does this mean for me? What does this mean for my local area where I'm living, or where I plan to live, or where I plan to invest in residential real estate? So here we have right off the bat. So you start to see these. Rents are crashing. Okay, well, let's talk about where and why. And right off the bat, you've got New York City apartment vacancy reaches record highs. Cost of rent going down. Well, yeah, if you don't have to work in New York anymore, you can work remotely. You might as well work remotely. You hear these millennials that are like, I was rooming up with 5 people in a 4-bedroom house, and I decided, hey, I could go get a 1-bedroom out in the suburbs, or I could go buy a home now out, in the country. So, right down here, apartment vacancies have reached record high levels as more people want to migrate to rural areas and larger living spaces. And what's interesting on the commercial side, you're starting to see people realize, hey, we had these companies with these high rises with a ton of office space, and they were trying to fight each other to get more office space. And now you're seeing vacancies there too, as people are able to work remotely, and businesses are seeing the productions there. So why not continue to do that and grow their company that way? And so there's already been talk that in a lot of these urban core areas where there was, there's a glut now of office space, they're talking about breaking that down into apartments and condominiums for sale. So that might be a very good situation to help alleviate some of the housing. You literally used to live, you used to work here, but now you live here. So it's kind of like working from home, I guess, in some aspects. But so from there, you jump into consumers, especially renters, are feeling much better about buying a home. And that's what we see, the graphs, the charts, everybody that's being out there surveyed is saying, they feel comfortable buying a home. And because of that, what happens? Bidding wars are intensifying nationwide, and rates with their, hitting those all-time lows is just adding extra fuel to that fire. I mean, the demand was there. And then when you make it more affordable, bam, what you have are just multiple offers and people just hashing it out. I know Troy was complaining earlier today, I'm 25,000 over ask, which was like roughly 10% over ask, and I can't even get the agent to call me back, and that's what we see out there. I mean, it's heartbreaking for some of our clients because we can't even update them because we can't get agents on the other side to pick up the phone sometimes. So here you go, another news headline: homes continue to sell at fastest pace in 2 years. Right on the wake of the pandemic. And, here we are, 7th year in a row from Gallup poll, Americans are ranking real estate as the best investment. So, it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. It just matters what the public perception is. And in this case, this is where they want to stick their money, in real estate.
Right. I mean, if you go back to that slide, Ryan, I mean, there's a lot of different things that happen that they're discussing here. Number one is if you're looking at something, short term as an investment, will real estate might not be the best. But if you're looking at long term, this is where it come off as the best investment, because as you go through the tumultuous times of the stock market, their savings account goes up and down. The price of gold will fluctuate. And all that causes anxiety. It's paper, or it's a mineral, material. When you live in a house, you live in your investment, right? So you're never thinking, well, is it going up? Is it going down?
You're always getting a benefit.
You're always reaping the benefit, regardless if the market goes down. And then you got double benefits if the market goes up. And as we saw that every 30 years, at any time within a 30-year period, which is the mortgage time, which is the amount of the term of a mortgage, a typical 30-year mortgage, you've always shown that you've benefited from property values going up.
Yep. And that's a great point. I mean, the slide we had on, Instagram the other day, last year, the average homeowner, and that's nationwide again, in these $200,000, $300,000 homes, was a $9,600 appreciation gain. So a gain of equity of $9,600. And, when you look at this, one of the biggest reasons real estate is still a preferred investment is because of leverage. If you've got 10 grand in your bank account and you're going out and you're buying stocks with 10 grand, okay, it goes up, 300%, you got 30 grand. Savings account, you're probably going to actually be losing money.
Right, exactly.
And then gold, there's so many different factors that you've got no control over there. Like, hey, you know what? It's fluctuating around with the dollar, up, down, whatever. And real estate, you've got leverage. So you take that 10 grand, you put it in, you're buying a $300,000 home, and all of a sudden that home goes up 20%. You've made 60 grand
off your 10 grand,
off that 10 grand. And in the meantime, you've got that roof over your head. You're benefiting from it. It's not just stock in a drawer somewhere on an E-Trade account or a Robinhood account, and you've got that benefit. So the biggest important part of real estate, is that leverage. And that's the best part about it.
Yeah.
And then, we're starting to see some of the, nationwide numbers come out again. Oh, CoreLogic says that, they think up to a 6.6% drop could happen in some of the major metro areas. Again, this is nationwide. When you actually break down this chart, a lot of it's centered in Florida, you've got New York. And when you click down and see, all right, what's overvalued, what's normal, this just, proof's in the pudding right here. Los Angeles, Long Beach, Glendale, California, normal. You've got Riverside, San Marino, Ontario, normally valued. So they don't think that these markets are overvalued right now where they are and where they're headed. So whereas, some of the Texas markets as well, Georgia, Illinois, and then New York, New Jersey, definitely seeing that across the board as people are going. So, yeah. What do you got for us today, Troy?
Well, we're going to go over to the 4 different counties real quick here, and we're going to discuss what we're seeing in the numbers. Here is Los Angeles County, and we've been saying this for the past 2 or 3 months. We continue to see just a slight or a level off on the amount of properties that hit the market, but we're definitely seeing the pendings and the solds continue to soar every single week. And it's kind of scary because as we see properties that are just newly put on the market, the pendings are outpacing it. And when they outpace it, that continues to put pressure on home values, and home values on the let's call it the entry level and the mid level continue to rise as we only started to see the higher end just starting to sell just a little bit, because of the loans that are not being produced for those higher end. So if we just take a look at this for last week, and that would be June 29th through July 5th, we're looking at a slight dip in actives, but we saw an increase in pendings. And this is alarming because if we continue this trend, we're going to see property values go shoot through the roof. And there's some actual, positive and some negative to that. But the one positive I want to say is if you own a home already, okay, and you're out there and you're busting your butt, you're working, or even if you're not working, you're on furlough, or you're staying at home, you're unemployment, please, please, please make sure you know how much equity you have in your house. If you have an FHA loan or any loan that you have a mortgage insurance or an MI payment every single month, please know that if you have 20% equity in your home, you should be able to get that to fall off. And two things that we talk about, and this is for any county, not just Los Angeles County, two things we talk about. Number one, the lender is never going to call you and tell you that you have 20% equity.
That's it.
Never, ever, ever. It is your responsibility to find that out. Number two, when you figure it out, and you can actually talk to the real estate agent that sold you the house, or you can actually comment here and you can go over your property value. You can get a property profile from a title company. There's actually several different ways of getting it. But once you get it and you feel you have 20% or greater in it, then what you'll do is you contact a lender or the lender, your servicer actually, the one that's sending you your monthly mortgage payments, and then you ask them to release the MI. They will actually go out and probably send out an appraiser. And if the appraiser can verify that, then your mortgage insurance disappears. But if you go all 30 years and you do not make that contact with your lender, you will pay mortgage insurance all 30 years.
Yeah, it's just a waste of money. That's a great point, Troy. And with FHA, you're going to have to refi out of that if you've done it in the last, roughly, let's call it 10 years or so. But with conventional, every lender is a little different how they handle it. So some require you to get an appraisal, some a broker's price opinion, some a CMA, some they'll do it themselves. But absolutely reach out, contact, that servicer of your loan, the lender in your eyes, and ask them to remove that PMI. We're talking to people that are, they're a year and 2 years into their home right now. And, they bought at just a good spot. Maybe they had some value because it was dated. They did the upgrades and repairs, and they've got 20% already after 1 or 2 years. And that being said, too, if you are furloughed or laid off, and you're thinking about doing the forbearance, definitely talk to a lender. Sometimes it's actually better to refinance that loan. You get an extra month of not making a payment when you do that refinance. You might be able to drop your rates and recast that loan and to get a lower payment that you can make and not need to do that forbearance, because as we're finding out, nobody really knows how bad that's going to look in the future on your credit, if you do want to then buy another home or refinance. So if you guys have the option, and you're in a tough spot, definitely look at refinancing, recast it, push that out. That way first is our recommendation there if you can do it. Also, know your equity, like Troy said. If you're in a tight spot, hey, and you just need to get out, then you know what? Know that you've got equity and you can sell that home without losing it to foreclosure. So that's another important point there, because they're talking about people who potentially can't make their payments, but they've got equity. So just don't, ride that ship all the way down until it sinks. Know your options, make those tough decisions, execute on one of them. So
and if you want any advice, professional advice, absolutely contact us. Again, comment. You can contact us directly. We can give you what we feel your situation. Each situation is different. What your situation is. And what we would recommend. We don't want to see anyone lose their homes, number one. We want to see people stay in their homes. And maybe forbearance is an option that would keep them in as a temporary solution to keep you in the home for the rest of the year, or for 6 months, or
your
however.
Job comes back, whatever, change industries, whatever.
Right.
So
the pandemic ends, or the pandemic gets settled.
Yep, absolutely. So just know that you've got options out there, and don't just shut yourself off. We saw it too much in the last foreclosure cycle, where people just stop picking up their, stop opening their mail, stop picking up their phone calls, and just hunker down. So, all right, what do we got in Orange County?
So this is what's scary about Orange County, Riverside County, and San Bernardino County. As we saw in Los Angeles County, we saw the actives were still a little ahead of the solds, but the pendings were significantly higher.
Yep.
So that kind of scared us. This is even a scarier situation in Orange County.
Well, and last week was almost 2 for 1,
Right. We're literally looking at, just under 500 new homes hit the market, but just under 700.
Right at 700.
Right at 700. Homes that hit pending. So we're already at 200 disparity. And then you look at solds, Ryan.
Yep.
I mean, those are
600.
Yeah, we're looking at 100 negative just off of solds every month. So we're just yanking.
Well, and then last month you had 200. So last week you had 200 that you sold out of inventory. So you put on 500 and you take 700 off the shelf. So we're just completely going back and just, peeling away at that inventory until really we're going to be left with nothing at the pace we're at.
Right.
Because, 4 weeks ago, it was 200, then it was 250, then it was just shy of 300. And then this month it was another 200. So it's just, it's on fire, absolutely on fire.
Yeah. And if you go to Riverside County, we'll see the exact same thing. And again, Riverside County is even more scarier because we're seeing even that bigger disparity in pendings and solds versus actives.
Yep.
And I know just because the affordability factor in that county is there. And San Bernardino and Riverside County, the affordability factors really make up the difference here. Where people are being pushed out of LA and Orange County, and now they want to have home ownership part of their lives. It's a bucket list. It's checking off a box, right? And so they're willing to drive a little further, as well as we've talked about it, you have, your in-home employment, right? So you have that. So it makes it easier to go out there and find a house further out that is more suitable to you versus living in a little box in Orange County or a box in LA County.
Yep.
So we're seeing that, and
they were talking originally LA and Orange County that we were worried the high end market was really gonna just tug on it. Things were gonna be sitting on the market, for years, and here we are at, based on the slides we were showing last week and the week before, it's 3 times hotter in that over $1.5 million price point than ever before. So people are selling those $2 million homes and moving up to the 3s and 4s. People are selling their 4s and moving up to their 8s and 10s, and they're doing it in fast fashion. So that caught us off guard. But the people that have money have continued to have money, and now that the stock market's on a tear, they're not worried about their cushion fallback, and things are just rolling. Absolutely rolling.
We're at all-time highs at NASDAQ and at the Dow. We're closing in on that.
And on luxury income, luxury property sales.
Luxury. So hit the next one, Ryan. Let's go to medium home sales. So medium home prices. So as we had gone over last week, if you guys actually saw it, because I know there was some kind of technical difficulties, we pulled some of we pulled it down on a couple of our social media sites. But the medium home price has pretty much stayed steady all the way through this pandemic, all the way through it. And it's slightly bumped in a couple of counties. But what Ryan talked about is last week we showed that pending sales were going up significantly on the higher end market that we've had seen all year long. And I think part of that is that it's loosening guidelines on jumbo loans. And with that being said, I really encourage people that are out there that own a home, that do have, equity and do pay MI. I'll say it again, definitely watch your value of your home. That's so important. Also, keep in mind that if you're a first-time home buyer, and that's a millennial generation, between 33 and 36, that is what the majority of clients that we have, they're out there. You got to know the affordability of where you want and the timeline in which you want to get into that home. We're seeing some of our clients now for the first time ever, and I've been in real estate for about 12, 13 years, and Ryan's probably been a year or two longer than that. They've simply been outpriced to the market. And I'll say that again. They've been outpriced, meaning that they wanted this 3-bedroom, 2-bath in Riverside or San Bernardino, and at $300,000 a year ago you could absolutely get it. Today it's now 2-bedroom, 1-bath, right? And now you just wiped an entire bedroom and a bath off in 12 months because of rising home prices, especially in the entry level. So it's extremely important that you understand your client as a client or as a buyer. You understand that time is of the essence, right? Time is of the essence. This interest rate drop of down in the 2s or the high 3s, depending on who you are in your credit scores, is not going to last forever. And the second that this kind of bumps up, we're going to slow down the housing market. But the problem is that there's so many millennials out there, that they want to purchase. They do not want to be left out.
Yeah, the household creation, formation age is we're hitting a ramp up in population. And so the average first time, home buyer is 33 years old. the next 4 years, there's an influx of people hitting that age in population. So we just expect that demand to continue for the next 4 or 5 years. So yeah, I mean, this is a good point. We always say, hey, talk to your agent, get set up on an auto search, pay attention to what pricing is in the area. Like Troy's saying here, know that price point, know your, what you can afford, your affordability, but don't expect that all of a sudden something else is going to come on the market cheaper than you're seeing and have that extra bedroom. If you're sitting there waiting around to find something more in your price point, it's not going to happen. It's going to be the other way around. The stuff you're looking at now is going to ratchet up into price. It's going to bump right out of where you've been searching, online, and you won't even see those homes come on the market anymore. And now you're going to be looking at, different neighborhoods, smaller homes, and that's the reality. I've, like Troy saying, in my 20 years here in real estate, I've never seen people get priced out of a market so fast. Within 3 to 6 months, if you're, really just trying to get in, at the top of your price point for everything you want, if you don't act fast, yes, you're getting priced out. Most people it's in the 3-month time frame right now for people that are really kind of holding out for, maybe I'll find one more bedroom or, just that right house. And it's not happening.
Well, what's interesting, and this is something that me and you've had that conversation this week on, is we have several different clients that have the max doll or the max property value that they can get on the approval letter or even underwritten, and yet they want to look at that dollar, that amount. And I know you have a client right now at $650,000.
Yes.
And you're like, you can't look at $650,000 homes. None of them are going, even though they're listed, and you see them on Zillow, you see them on the MLS, you see them on Trulia.
That's
they're
great.
listed for it, but you're never going to purchase it for that price because you're going up against 5 to 10 offers. Yep. And you've got to understand that. That is such a big, important, conversation you need to have with your real estate agent.
The search we were looking at was like 550 to 650. They can go to 660, and sure enough, the stuff coming in at 625. I'm talking to the agent, and they've got 3 offers over 700. Talking to the agent at 600, and they've got offers at 650. I'm talking to the agent at 625, on another property, and they've got multiple over 660, 20% down. So yeah, I'm telling my client, hey, we can't really be looking at 650 stuff anymore. It is kind of one of those things where, hey, you might have something that's worth 625 that's listed at 650, but it's still selling 660, 675, even if it's overpriced. So, where before we'd hit even, we used to do searches like, you're approved up to 650, let's go 60, 670, and see maybe we can get, some closing costs and the price knocked down. It is not that time. I'm trying to knock, 5 to 10% off our search so that we have that ability when we find something we like to run up over the list price and still have a chance to get this home. Otherwise, I just see broken heart as they fall in love with properties they think are in their price point, but they're realistically not in their price point. Just because it's listed at something does not mean that it's selling for them.
Yeah. So that's the actual true value of homes, yep. Right? Of real property. It's what someone's willing to pay for it / afford, whether it be with a loan or with cash. That's the real value. It's not what it's listed in the MLS.
Yep.
Right?
Definitely not what an appraiser is slapping on it.
Right.
So. Yeah, so going back to these median home prices here, you see, Orange County is just kind of chugging along around the same, and LA is starting to tick up, and it's going to be very interesting to see. I have a feeling that trend's going to continue, week over week. So
to wrap it up, we do our weekly foreclosure active report. What's active on the market for foreclosures a week? And I know so many people ask this question. You hear all the negative news out there, the negative Nancy's, the
Susie Orman. Your neighbor's home's going to sell for half of yours because everything's going to foreclose in September.
Right.
Yeah,
so
not happening.
This indicator that we have out here just shows you where we're at in the real estate market on the seller or buyer side, or as a pandemic / social unrest, collapse that we keep hearing about, right? And so it just has not affected the real estate market.
So, I called it last week. I said, I think that's the lowest it's ever going to go, but the number dropped another 8 lower this week.
I don't know if it's going to drop any lower.
I don't even, this blows my mind. I mean, some of these 190 that are on the market, you just can't even sell them. Like, I've seen some of these foreclosure listings. You can't show them. They're overpriced, even as being foreclosures are overpriced.
We can't buy them.
They're complete fixers. Yeah, it's pretty much cash. And for cash, they're way overpriced. And you look at these, and they're nothing else getting added, to the market, and even the crappy ones are getting sold. So it blows my mind. This is like a baseline, But then, I thought the same thing about interest rates. It can't go any lower, and here we are going lower and lower. So, all right, guys, thank you guys for joining us tonight, Friday. If you're watching it a little bit later, thank you for joining us, whatever day, week, and time it is. As you guys know, we go live Tuesdays, 9 p.m. on Facebook, talk everything related to real estate. If you're watching this, recent to our release, we're going to start going over our home buyer's guide, our complete guide to, for first-time home buyers. Also, we go live Thursdays in Spanish, covering the same topics and contents with more personality with Roxy. And then Friday, we've got Deal of the Week at 2 p.m. And then we've got this recorded weekly market update at 8 p.m. So that's on Facebook. Definitely follow us on YouTube as well. You'll get notified as soon as we have new uploads. We're trying to do YouTube specific content there as well. And then every day we're on Instagram, from showings to real estate tip of the day, to crazy things we see, and even some of the hot properties that are popping up that we know aren't going to last until Friday. So definitely like, follow, subscribe, hit every button possible out there. And we also are on TikTok, Pinterest. What else, Troy? What else are we on?
We're just, we're expanding our horizons.
There we are. So if there's somewhere you want us to be, let us know. We'll be there too. Thank you guys for joining us. Take care. Until next week. God bless.
Be safe.